Okay, wonderful. Well, I want to welcome Shamu Gowishankar. You can correct me if that pronunciation's off, but you've been here quite a while. You're the Assistant Director of the Office of International Students and Scholars, and you're here to provide some updates to advisors on your office and services and things we need to know when working with international students. And also, I always like to add, if you have preferences on how we refer students or what we need to let them know and when are the best times to refer students to your office. So with that, I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Kate, and good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is, I know Kate said it correctly. It was, it's very phonetic. So my name is very phonetic. So you got it, and yeah, thank you. My name is Chamu Gauri Shankar, and I'm the Assistant Director at the Office of International Students and Scholars. I may have worked with a few of you here. Some names sounds familiar. You may have had a question, reach out to me. But this is nice that Kate does this, periodically, inviting our office and a couple of other offices so we can share some updates and kind of like, revise some of the things that advisors have to be mindful of when advising international students. There's a couple of visa categories, and so what to look for when you're advising an F1 student. You may see a form that you're wondering, like, why is this something that different from a domestic student? Why do I have to fill a form for somebody who's doing an internship that I didn't do it for a domestic student? So those are some of the things that I thought like I'll kind of share with you all. I have a PowerPoint and I'll try to see if I can share that. Do you see it, Kate?
Not yet.
I know it takes a few seconds.
Okay. There you go.
Oh, you see it? Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, anyone has a problem, please let us know if you can see the screen.
Yep.
All right, so I just have a small PowerPoint, so it's easier to kind of like outline our 1 hour time here. But always, stop me if you have any questions or, if something you're not clear, let me know. We can talk about it. Here's my contact information. So, in the future, if you have any questions, you want to reach me, here's my camera's if you need to contact me, here's my email and my phone number. And what we're going to talk about in this hour is, who we are as a department and what we do, and also talk about the two visa categories, the student categories, which is F1 and J1. I won't go too much into the immigration regulations, but kind of like just give you an overview of things that you should be noticing when you see an F1 and J1 students. And then some of the forms that they bring it to you for approval. And also talk about holds, because sometimes students will be frustrated coming to you saying, I can't register, there's a hold from OISS. Can you help me remove it? Unfortunately, these holds cannot be removed by other department. It is a OISS hold. So I just wanted to talk about that hold so you know what those holds are when you're advising students. As a department, we have about 12 full-time staff members. That includes the director, myself, and then we have about 4 advisors, and then a couple of staff members that handles the admin work and front desk and things like that. And what we basically do is that we facilitate the arrival the arrival of the international students and scholars to come here and reach their goals. Like some come here to do research. We work with them, providing paperwork for facilitating their arrival into the US and then working at Wayne State. doing their research teaching. We have a lot of international faculties working here as assistant professors and associate professors. And then the other group is the students group that we are talking about. And they come here to different programs, and you'll see many PhD and masters, and then many in undergraduate programs. Out of the undergraduate programs, most of our population is from Canada. So you will see a lot of Canadian undergraduate students compared to other students from, someone coming from India or China or Europe. So you'll see a big population of Canadian students as international students in your office. And so those are some of the things that we do in our office. Other than that, we do a lot of programmings for our students. So we do a lot of events, cultural exchange events, and we used to do a lot of shopping trips and visiting places, taking them to different places so they are culturally accustomed to the US. But after COVID, some of those programs we are not able to continue, but we still do a lot of on-campus cultural events. Like today, we have a coffee hour where we invite our international students. Typically, about 50 to 60 students show up on a given coffee hour program. They just come, hang out. We provide them lunch and coffee, and just like a social gathering. They come, talk about their any problems they have, or we bring some guest speakers and they share their information from their department. So that's something we do once every month. And then we have International Education Week, we have Global Festival, and then we have programs for the international student spouses, where they come and get together and they talk about some of the challenges, and we try to find some solutions for them. So those are some of our programming events that we do. This is our website, and it's oiss.wayne.edu. And once you go there, you will see all these different categories under the site tab. And if you scroll down, I mean, I took a screenshot, so I can't show you a scroll down, but if you scroll down, there is a link to forms in our page. And this is where most of the forms are printed, and students bring it to you for approval. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that they come to you for approval. That's pretty much our office and what we do and who we are. And our website is very comprehensive. Sometimes you may get lost when you're looking for information, because we have tons of information. If you click on each category, there's a lot of information. But it's very helpful for our students, because we want them to be educated even before coming here about their visa status, what to look for. They have to be maintaining their status and things like that. So we put all the information here. This is our office. I just wanted to share, if you haven't come to our office, visited us, we are in the 4th floor of Welcome Center, and we are pretty much the corner office in the Welcome Center. This is our lobby. It typically doesn't look like this. I took this picture during COVID. So when the office was quiet, nobody was there, all the office doors are locked. If you see the 2 doors, we have 2 more doors on the side, which is all advisors' office. So all their doors are closed. It doesn't look like that. We are pretty much like open office. But this is a picture I took from the during the COVID. So it's like it looks like creepy quiet. But usually our office is, always busy with students, sitting down in the waiting area, completing some forms, paperwork, meeting with an advisor. And the reason they have to do that is it's a visa status. They are in this country on a visa, and they have to be really mindful of maintaining that status. So even some things that a domestic student can do, international students cannot do, because that may affect their visa status, like dropping a class. Will that affect a domestic student? It may, probably, because if they are on a FAFSA, it may affect their FAFSA. But other than that, will they affect their status, and will they have to leave the country immediately? No, nothing like that. But for an F1 student, when they are fully registered, they are taking classes, and into their third or fourth week they decided, I don't like this professor, I want to drop this class, or I don't like this class and I wanted to drop. They cannot do like that. They can, if they drop, they will be in big trouble. That means that they have violated their immigration status. And USCIS, I mean, the Homeland Security is very strict with those kind of scenarios. They will give them 15 days to depart the country because you have violated. And what happens to the rest of the classes, right? That becomes challenging. So they have to be full-time, 12 credits all the time? Not necessarily. There are some exceptions to it. There are some exceptions that they can apply, but they have to apply that prior to the semester, or at least by the first week of the semester. So that we report that information to the Homeland Security, why the student is only 9 credits instead of 12, because we have granted this exception. So the Homeland Security wants us to do all that by the first week of the classes, not in the middle of the semester, because that's considered as violation. So that's why they get reminders, and we tell them, we send them scary emails saying you need to be full-time, otherwise this is what is going to happen. If they read our emails, they know how this is serious. But sometimes, I know students will just, ignore it, or they are so busy with their classwork, they don't read the email. And that happens, and then that puts them in a bad situation. The visa types that our office use, I mean, what we need to know today is the F1 and then the J1 student visa status. But then we handle other visas. There's like an alphabet soup, like B1, B2, H1B, J1, scholars, O1, TN. So there's like alphabet soup that we handle. But for student status, it's only 2 visas, F1 and then J1 student. You may have other students on visa status who are studying like an H4, which is a dependent of an H1B. So there may be some dependent status, but we are not worried about their immigration status, or are they maintaining status, or do they have to fill any forms? We are not required to monitor their registration. It's only the F1 and J1 student category we are required to monitor, because we have to report that information back to Homeland Security. All right. So to give you an idea about what happens from their arrival, and then maintaining their status, I'm going to start with the new student check-in, and then the holes, that we talked about. So the new student check-in is when they arrive into the country, they have to report to our office that they have arrived here. So prior to that, we prepare a document called I-20. That's their immigration document, that as soon as they are admitted, we prepare the document, we send it to them, and they use that document to apply for an F1 visa with their US consulate in their hometown or nearby places where the closest US embassies there. They apply for their F1 visa. And that's like the visa is like a key pass to come into the country. So it's the immigration document I-20, and then they apply for visa to come into the US. How soon they can come? They can only come about 30 days. The earliest is 30 days prior to their classes start date. So they may be admitted the previous year, like fall of 2024, they may be admitted for fall of 2025. Can they apply for visa now? Yes, they can apply for visa. But the earliest they can come is about 30 days from the start date of that semester. So fall, let's say, starts September 1st. The earliest they can come is August 1st of 2025. So once they arrive, they have to complete, it's a mandatory federal requirement. It's called check-in. That process is something that is required because we have to report back to Homeland Security that this student has arrived in this country and is going to study at Wayne State. So we collect their address, their arrival, immigration information, that this is the date they arrived, and then we report all that back to Homeland Security saying, this student is fine, arrived here, going to study at Wayne State, registered for classes. So that's a mandatory federal regulation. So there is a hold for that. So if they don't complete that, that hold will not be released. And that is some of the students, what do I call that? That they are upset about it. Like, why do I have to have a hold? Can't I just register? But there is a reason for that hold. Because without that hold, we can keep track of who has arrived, have they completed the mandatory check-in? So that hold will be placed exactly from August 1st. The meaning like 30 days before their start date. So they could even register prior to that. They don't have to wait till August to start registering. So if a student contacts you, if an international student contacts you and wants to register in July or June, I would encourage you all to tell them, just go ahead and register because you're going to start getting a hold from the first week of or 30 days before the semester start date. But mostly they will start right introducing, I have a hold, and that'll be like the first week of August. So that's one hold. The other hold is health insurance hold, which is a mandatory. It's not a regulatory requirement, but that's a university requirement. It's from the Board of Governors that the international students must maintain health insurance while they're studying here. So that's a university placed hold. We have access to that hold because it's international students. They have given us the authority to place the hold and remove the hold based on, clearing the health insurance. So once they purchase the health insurance, we remove the hold for that. We remove that hold. And so those are the two holds that the new students will typically see. When close to their arrival or they're trying to register and all that. And then the TB hold is also placed for international students. And this hold goes typically for the second semester. Usually in the past, this hold was also placed along with the other two holds, but it became such a hassle for our students where they need to go through the TB clearance at the campus health center and they are charged a fee for that. Typically, the health insurance will cover. So as soon as they arrive, their health insurance doesn't kick in like right away. So they have to wait. And so there is a delay in getting the TB clearance done. So that's why the university the Board of Governors approved that to move the TB clearance for the second semester. So the students have at least a semester to get that taken care of. And then if you are seeing a continuing student who's trying to register, most of the time you will see a health insurance hold because the health insurance is either purchased semester-based or annual. So if a student purchase for an annual plan, then there's no worries till the next year. But you will sometimes see a student getting hold every semester because they are doing the semester-based plan. And so their hold will be there. And then close to the registration, they panic, they want the hold to be removed, but they have to purchase the health insurance for the following semester before we can remove the hold for them. So these are some of the things about the holds. Any questions? Or you can stop me if I'm going too fast.
There was just one question in the chat about the restriction for the number of credits that a student can take online.
Oh, sure. I think that's my next slide.
Okay, coming up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the question. That's my next slide. Yeah, so here's the requirement. Undergraduate students, both F1 and J1, they will have to be minimum 12 credits. That's fall and winter. And then I don't know if you advise graduate students, but if to have in mind is 8 credits for graduate students. So masters and PhD, they have to be minimum 8 credits. And the 12 credits is for fall and winter. So let's say they came here for fall or winter. Summer is considered as their vacation semester. So that means that they are not required to be registered any classes. If they want, it's up to them, but that there is no federal mandatory that they have to be registered. So usually spring, summer is their vacation semester. But a student is admitted for spring, summer, then that's their first semester and they have to be full time. So that 12 credit applies for them. Graduate student, I think the minimum for spring, summer is 2 credits. That's think we go by what the financial aid as approved for financial aid purposes. But undergraduate student, again, fall and winter, 12 credits each. Spring, summer, not required. Otherwise, if it's a first semester, then they have to be 12 credits. And
Can I ask a verbal question?
Sure, yeah.
So some students have an issue with online classes versus in-person classes. That's why, so we can absolutely get students in 12 credits. But say they take half of those credits online, is that an issue?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. That is lately a big issue because I think after COVID, many classes have become online, and also the federal regulations also kind of changed during that COVID time, allowing students taking more online classes. But we are back to our old regulations, which means that majority of the classes have to be in person, and only one class can be counted as online. So out of the 12 credits, 9 credits or 3 classes or however the combination is has to be in person. 1 class or 3 credits can be online. So, sometimes I get the question like, it's a sync class, I have face-to-face. That's not considered as an in-person class. It has to be in person in a classroom. Sometimes I see students taking 2 online classes, but they would be registered for 15 credits. So 2 classes would be online and then the remaining will be in person. They are fine. It's still covered because we are going to count only 1 online class for that. The other online class, we won't even count that for their registration, for their reporting purposes. So if they're taking more credits, like 16, 15 credits, in that way, we will see sometimes 1 or more than 1 online classes. But otherwise, in general, if they're sticking to 12 credits, only 1 online class will be counted.
Thank you, that's super helpful.
I have a follow-up question. What if they are in a program where it is mostly online classes, and is there a way around that if the classes are only offered online?
Couple of programs like that. I think the library sciences is all like completely on, like they have 2 tracks. One is completely online, and then they have a regular in-person program. And then I think MBA also has like the business school has like those kind of tracks. In that case, they don't need an I-20 to come here and study. They can be in their home country and do their completely online program.
Well,
but if they are here, they have to maintain that minimum requirement, which is majority of the classes has to be in person and only 1 online class can be counted.
Okay, because like I'm in business, and if we have students that pick the major for technology information system, those classes are mostly online. However, not all of them are online, like the rest of their business classes they can do in person. But what we run up to is at the end of their degree, when they only have their major classes left, there might be, 2 classes that are only offered online and maybe 2 classes in person.
See, in their last semester, if this is a scenario, then it is their last semester and they don't have to be full time, like they are not required to be full time. Whatever is left, they are completing their program. So we can even count one of their in-person class and then the rest is online. Then we count that as their, oh, this is their last semester, whatever is left, they are finishing their program. But otherwise, if they are continuing in their continuing status, they cannot have more online classes. They can, I mean, in the sense, they can take more online, but only one online class will be counted towards their full-time requirement. And I know this sometimes is a challenge. If this comes up, you need to talk to your dean or take it to the provost office so they can look into this scenario and add more in-person teaching. They can instruct the faculties to have an in-person class option for them. This has come up in the past, and we have talked to the provost office and they have come up with some options for other departments.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, and I know this is a very challenging situation, especially after COVID. I see a lot of programs, especially when, even the faculties are working in a hybrid model. They prefer teaching more online classes and, but for international students, it's not going to work. And then that's why our office need to know if that comes up. And then we can kind of work with the provost office to see what other options can be done. And if we know prior to the semester start date, it will be really helpful. So provost office can provide some other options for these students.
It's Patricia. I'm also from the School of Business. If we have a student and they get that CPT form filled out and they're doing an internship, is that considered an in-person or an online class?
The internship is an in-person class. It is recorded as a TR, right? Traditional class. So that will be counted as an in-person because they'll be meeting with the professor once a week or however the setup is regarding that class.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, moving along, I'm going to talk about some forms. And one of the forms is the exception form that the students will bring to you. I think I may have a picture of that so you can get an idea if you're wondering like, what is this documents that these international students are bringing? It's typically just to, get approval from the advisors to, make sure they are, they are in compliance for their visa status. For example, it is their first semester and they are having difficulty understanding the teaching methods here, or initial difficulty with the, understanding the requirements for the class and things like that may come up. I mean, it's not for all students, but I've seen, once in a while that students may have difficulties. And that is why the first set of 4, you will see that it's typically used in the first semester where students are having challenges. And then if you see the second set of exceptions in this form is, one is the last semester. As I said earlier, in their last semester, they don't have to be completely 12 credits. They may not have all those classes. Probably they are left with, let's say 2 classes and that's it. They'll be graduating. And out of the 2 classes, one can be online and one can be traditional, which is fine. But when we pull the report looking at the students registration, we are like, why is the student 6 credits? And so if we have this form approved, we know why the student is only 6 credits because it is their last semester and they are graduating. You will also see exceptions like medical. Things happen and, if they need to take a break or go less than full time. This particular exception, the medical exception, you're not required to approve that form. Usually students will come to us and submit this form with a doctor's note. Even we don't ask what the medical condition is, but we need to see what the doctor is recommending. Like, oh, the student need to be out of school for a whole semester, or the student needs to be part-time, things like that. We just need to see what the doctor is recommending the student to do. So usually they bring a medical note and then submit this exception form and we grant them exception. And then we have other exceptions like for graduate students, like when they are on assistantship, they don't have to be full-time. So we have other exceptions like that. So this is one of the sample you will you will see in your office. And then another form that you would see is it's called concurrent enrollment form, where a student will be taking classes here at Wayne State as well as at another school like a community college. So in that way, when we pull report, we are only going to see part of their enrollment, right? So what are they doing with the remainder? And when we have this form in place, we know that the student is registered for the rest of the courses. Like let's say 7 here, we want at least half year, 6 or 7 here, and then the remaining they can take at a community college. And then they provide their enrollment information from the other school. And then you would approve it. We want the advisor to approve it because we want to make sure that the students' courses are transferable. So they're not just going and doing some random classes and it's not transferable. And then they come and submit the form to us and we report that to Homeland Security. The next one is the online web class. We talked about that. There is no form for it. Usually we catch that in our reporting. We see, combination of classes for the students, and one student we see like out of 4 classes, like 3 are web and 1 is traditional. That's a big flag. And that's the one we will follow up with them and see if they can add other classes and drop these web classes. So sometimes there is like last minute chaos, like in the first week of classes, student is trying to drop this class, finding another class, a traditional class. That's because they have registered way too many web classes. Then we have a form for program extension. So a student is an I-20 is given for 4 years for an undergraduate student. So they are in the 4th year, they're pretty much in their last semester, and they know that they still need 2 more semesters. I mean, it's very, I would say it's very, very rare to see student finishing all like the classes within that 4 years. Sometimes they may need additional time because they would have done an internship or things like that, and they're coming back to take classes, and they may need extension on their program. So there is a form for that. They will bring that to you. What we need from you is approving that and telling us how much more semester, like how many more semesters they need. Do they need 2 more semesters or they need 1 semester? And depending on that, we will give them a program extension in their I-20. The next one is the form that they may bring it to you is for CPT and OPT. So CPT is for internship or co-ops, clinical rotations and things like that, where they have to go off campus and gain experience, could be paid or unpaid. But if they are going off campus to get some experiential learning or experience, they have to get the CPT approval. It's called curricular practical training. So what we do is we have to endorse in their I-20 that the student is going to be in this location, let's say DTE, from September 1st to December 31st, working as an intern. We have to approve that in their I-20. And for that, we need the advisor's approval because we need to see that they're registered for an internship credit. If it is a co-op, then career services will be approving it. And I know some departments like School of Business, Engineering have their own career services coordinator or a department within their department. So I've seen sometimes they approve it. But in many departments, I've seen the career services, they have a co-op coordinator who approves their co-op, the CPT forms, and then the students bring here, and then we verify their offer letter and we approve it. In their last semester, they cannot do just internship. So that's one of the federal requirement that in their graduating semester, unless it's a program requirement, let's say counseling degree, right? In the counseling, I think master's or undergrad, there is the program, the student has to finish all their course requirement, and in their graduating semester, they will do an internship. So that is a program setup. That's how they can do it. But if you see an engineering degree, it is not like that. The students can do internship anytime during their program, not in their graduating semester. So if it is a program setup, then we don't challenge that. We say, okay, that's how your program is set up. You can just do this internship and graduate. But unlike in a School of Business program, if a student comes to us and says, this is my graduating semester, I'm doing only CPT, then that's not allowed. They have to have another class along with their internship in order for us to approve their CPT. And then another form you will see in your office is OPT form. It's called Optional Practical Training. That is their final form that they'll bring it to you, like because they are graduating and now they have to apply for work authorization with the Homeland Security. And they need your approval saying, okay, this is your graduating semester and you're done. Your coursework is done. And based on that, we recommend that OPT in their I-20, and then the student will apply to Homeland Security for a work authorization for 1 year. And if they are in the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, mathematics major, then they can apply for 2 more years of extension on that OPT. But typically OPT is your last form that you will see for if they are an international student, because they are graduating and they go for an OPT after that. The CPT and OPT form, typically it'll ask you for, are they, their student information, are they registered for this internship credit? And then in the OPTs, is this their last semester? Is this their graduating semester? And pretty much it's a very simple form, unlike the, exception or concurrent form. So these are some of our frequently used forms that academic advisors might see. I think pretty much, this is the end of my presentation, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I mean, you might have had a scenario and others can learn from that. We're happy to answer.
Ellen, did you get your question answered? You were asking about attending another school, using the exception form during the last semester?
Kate, I'm sorry, my speaker is low. Can you be little
Yeah.
loud?
For the student in their last semester, can they attend another school, a community college or another 4-year school and take courses?
Current.
I mean, it's that they can do that, and still they have to do the concurrent enrollment. We wanted to see at least in that semester, they are at least registered for 1 credit. I mean, one course year. That's their graduating semester. So if they are left with, let's say, 6 credits, and out of that one course they wanted to do it here, and the other course they want to do it at the other institution, they complete the concurrent form. And then we verify that it's approved by the academic advisor. And as long as they're registered at least 1 course here, they can do that.
But they have to fill out both forms, right?
They have to fill out those forms, and at least part of their courses has to be here. So if they are 8 credits, at least do half of the time here.
Half, okay, that was. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Nothing else. All right. Well, we are recording, so I will make sure to send out the recording. Can I also send your forms, Shamu, if you send them, or your slides, if you want to send me your presentation? I can send that out as well. I do upload the recordings to the Canvas course, the Academic Advisor Canvas course, and put them all in one module, these Student Success Office updates. So there you should find the PowerPoints there as well as the recordings. Thank you so much. This was extremely helpful. And if there are no other questions, please just make sure you put your name and access ID in the chat, and I will make sure to get the information out to everybody.
Thank you all. Thanks for your great questions. Thanks for attending.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.